So, as the parent of a teenager, do you ever feel like your teenager just doesn't tell you what's going on for them, or maybe they just don't listen to you? Well, could you be unintentionally maybe contributing to this dynamic? Well, hello everyone. My name is Jim White, and I'm an author, coach, and the founder of the Family Enrichment Academy. But more importantly, I'm a parent just like you. My wife and I, we've raised 6 children, so we've been into and through those teenage years. Well, today we're going to be revealing the number 4 item on our list of the top 10 things you need to stop doing as a parent with a teenager. And we'll also share what you can do instead. Now, this one is probably going to have a big impact on that dynamic that we're talking about where your teen doesn't like to talk to you. So let's check it out. So here we go, the number 4 item on our list of the top 10 things you need to stop doing as a parent with a teenager. I'm going to ask that you stop lecturing your teenager. And what you can do instead is I want you to trust the value in the process of experiential learning. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say that you have a 16-year-old daughter. And this daughter, she's expressed an interest in becoming a doctor. And so she's starting to think about schools and where she might go to college. But you've noticed recently that she's been paying more attention to her phone, to boys and her friends than she actually has to her schoolwork. Well, one night at dinner, she's sitting there and she happens to bring up the fact that she has a midterm in her biology class coming up tomorrow. And she also shares that she feels like she's not really ready for it and she's really afraid she's going to fail it. Well, hearing this information combined with your recognition of what's been going on with her as far as her distractions, and you just can't help but you launch into a lecture. And it's a lecture about this good study habits and time management and the value of education. Can you see yourself rambling on for several minutes? I know I can. I've done it before. So think back to a time when you've slipped into one of these lectures. How did your teenager respond? Did they sit up in their chair and lean forward and start taking notes? Or did they slump down, look away, fold their arms, and act disinterested? Well, I know for me, I've always gotten that disinterested, don't talk to me response when I've slipped into lecture mode. So why is that? Well, I'm going to assert that to your teenager, the lecture feels like an attack. Take the example we're talking about. The teenage daughter's already acknowledged that she hasn't really prepared for this test. So when you slip into the lecture mode, it just feels like you're rubbing salt into those wounds. So what do you do instead? Well, in this case, you guide your daughter to the value and the lessons to be learned from her own personal experience. You trust the process of experiential learning. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this, let me give you a high-level overview of the idea of experiential learning. Fundamentally, we're talking about learning through experience or learning through doing. For example, the only way to learn to swim is to get in the water and start paddling. But there are other lessons that we just tend to ignore the advice until it affects us personally. And in this example, the parents' efforts to talk about time management and study habits are just going to fall on deaf ears. So the key learning moment happens when the daughter has one of those aha moments, right? She starts to realize that her own lack of study habits and time management is getting in the way. It's stopping her from moving towards her goals. So at the dinner table in this example, rather than going into lecture mode, say something like this. You could say, "Oh, that's kind of a bummer. What do you think's holding you back?" Can you see how this question is guiding the daughter towards her own aha moment or her own insights? So give this a try. Let go of your need to lecture and just trust the process of experiential learning. Think of your role as more of, again, creating the space for your children to have those aha moments or their own insights. This will lead them to their own answers, which is so much more powerful than just you lecturing. So there you have it, the number 4 item on our list. Let go of your need to lecture and let's replace that with trust in the process of experiential learning. Well, before we sign off today, I did want to let you know I do have a free resource for you as well. And this fits inside this theme of things you need to stop doing and then what you can do instead. What I have for you is I have 10 questions that you should never ask your teenagers. Think of these as like conversation killers. And then I also have 10 great questions. These are the conversation starters. So I'll have a link down below in the description that you can click on, jump over to the website, and you'll be able to download that resource. I really encourage you to check it out. So as always, it's truly an honor to be able to serve and support you as you move along your parenting journey. And it is a journey. And I just want to acknowledge you for having that growth mindset and being willing to step into and lean into becoming a better person and becoming a better parent. It's just going to be critical in getting through these teenage years. Until next time, remember, a change in perspective changes everything.